The Stoics once wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This isn't just a pleasant thought, it's the very baseline of a life well lived. Gratitude is not a soft sentiment. It is a weapon against the creeping vines of entitlement and anxiety. It pulls you out of the labyrinth of your mind and into the tangible reality of the moment. Most of us roll out of bed and fall directly into autopilot. We are greeted not by stillness, but by a tidal wave of notifications, noise, and mental clutter. We are reacting to the world before we have even returned to ourselves. And the truth is, if you do not consciously direct your attention in the quiet of the morning, the world will gladly do it for you. As Carl Jung observed, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. To wake and immediately let your mind race, stressing about work, about people, about problems, is not living. It is merely surviving. Gratitude interrupts this frantic pattern. It is the anchor you drop before the storm begins. We so easily forget how rare and fragile this experience of life truly is. We complain, we compare, we coast through our days. But a single unexpected event, a diagnosis, an accident, a loss, can shatter our entire world in an instant. When you truly grasp that nothing is guaranteed, gratitude ceases to be a morning ritual. It becomes a mindset for survival. So when you wake, just take 3 deep breaths. That's all. Slow, steady, present. Place a hand on your heart if you need to, a simple gesture to reconnect with your body and quietly affirm, "I am grateful to be here." Not to perform, not to impress, just to be. Socrates declared that the unexamined life is not worth living. But perhaps part of that examination isn't just asking profound questions, but practicing profound presence. You don't need a fancy journal or a perfect meditation routine. You need only one clean foundational thought. This is enough. This moment is enough. From that single seed of enoughness, a different kind of person begins to grow. One who doesn't need chaos to feel alive. You start to approach your day with a quieter strength, a power rooted not in speed, but in stillness. There is a vast difference between a day started from pressure and one started from purpose. One feels like drowning, the other like clarity. And that shift begins with a single, deliberate intention. When you wake with gratitude, you stop chasing peace throughout the day, because you have already begun with it. Think of it as tuning your inner frequency. When you are tuned to appreciation, the things that usually irritate you, the traffic, the interruptions, the delays, begin to lose their grip. You are no longer reacting from a place of lack, but responding from a place of wholeness. As Aristotle taught, happiness depends upon ourselves. The first few moments after you wake set the tone for your entire day. This is when your mind is most open, most vulnerable. What you feed it in that quiet space either strengthens your core or invites the chaos in. The Stoics believed that how you begin your day is how you train your soul. If you do not anchor your mind, the world, with its own chaotic agenda, will anchor it for you. So, if you are tired of starting your mornings already feeling behind, I offer you not a complex system, but a series of simple, daily truths. Spoken to yourself, they can change everything. 1. I am grateful to be here. It's wild, isn't it? We are always chasing something: success, clarity, love, answers. But we so rarely pause to appreciate the one thing we already possess: this moment. I'm not talking about the now you scroll past on a motivational quote. I mean the quiet, overlooked miracle of simply waking up, breathing, opening your eyes to a brand new, unwritten day. You didn't earn it. You weren't promised it. But here it is. That is grace. And that is where your true strength begins, not in what you achieve, but in how deeply you recognize the gift of being alive. Before the texts, before the to-do lists, before even the coffee, pause and say it to yourself. I am grateful to be here. Not because life is perfect, but because it is present. You are still in the game. You still have time to evolve, to make amends, to take risks, to live honestly. Gratitude puts you back in control. It tells your brain, I do not need everything figured out to be whole. I do not need external proof to feel internally aligned. That is emotional resilience. That is you becoming someone the world cannot so easily shake. As Plato suggested, a grateful mind is a great mind, which eventually attracts to itself great things. This isn't a mystical promise. It is simple cause and effect. When you are centered, your decisions are clearer. When you are appreciative, you attract people who operate from that same energy. You don't just show up differently, you attract differently. Own those first few seconds. Own them not with pressure, but with presence. I am grateful to be here. Say it. Feel it. Let it soften your breath and widen your perspective. It is how you stop merely existing and start truly living. 2. Yesterday doesn't own me. Have you ever noticed how some people wake up already exhausted? Not from a lack of sleep, but because they never truly let go of yesterday. Their body may have rested, but their mind is still spinning, replaying a mistake, an awkward conversation, a moment they wish they could take back. They are trying to run today's race while carrying yesterday's suitcase. Eventually, they are bound to trip. We carry far too much weight from the day before, missed deadlines, foolish errors, other people's moods and judgments. We let the shadow of what was fall across the landscape of what could be. But you are not meant to relive yesterday. You are meant to learn from it, and then leave it where it belongs. The true test is not perfection, but release. So, every morning, remind yourself, yesterday doesn't own me. Say it like your peace depends on it, because it does. That one sentence doesn't erase the past, but it separates you from its grip. It draws a boundary between what happened and what you choose now. And that boundary is freedom. As Carl Jung wrote, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. What happened yesterday might explain your pain, but it does not get to define your path. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus put it perfectly. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Yesterday may have been a mess. You may have lost your temper or missed an opportunity. Acknowledge it. But then ask, now what? Are you going to live there forever, or will you move forward, stronger, sharper, clearer? Think of each day as a fresh page in a journal. If you keep scribbling yesterday's story onto today's page, you will never write anything new. Letting go is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the strength to stop picking at the same wound. Take the lesson, but leave the weight. Here is a practice. As you lie in bed, picture the thoughts you are holding, regret, guilt, embarrassment, as stones in a backpack. Close your eyes and visualize yourself taking that backpack off. Feel it slide from your shoulders and hit the floor. Feel your body lighten. Let that visual become a ritual. When you let go, your nervous system gets the message. We are safe. We are starting clean. Yesterday had its chance. Today is yours. Owe it to yourself to show up fully, not halfway, not haunted. Say it again. Yesterday doesn't own me. That is not denial. It is direction. It is you choosing healing over hurt, remembering that your future is built not on the debris of your past, but on the choices you make right now. 3. I control my mind, not the other way around. It is so easy to feel like life is spinning out of control. One moment you are sipping coffee in silence. The next, you are drowning in a flood of demands. And then come the thoughts. Fast, noisy, relentless. It's as if your mind opens its own browser and launches a dozen tabs you never clicked on. Before you know it, you are not thinking. You are being thought. You are chasing every worry, every what if. It is exhausting, and it is a trap. The Stoics knew that the chaos outside is never as dangerous as the chaos inside. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the core of all personal power. It lies not in controlling every outcome, but in mastering the one thing you can, your response. In the quiet window before the world wakes up, anchor yourself with this truth: I control my mind. Say it before you touch your phone, before you run through your tasks, before your thoughts begin their frantic dance. When you claim this truth early, you build a shield that lasts the day. For just 1 minute in the morning, sit in stillness. No music, no scrolling, just you and your breath. As thoughts arise, and they will, simply let them pass like clouds in the sky. Do not cling to them, do not judge them. Just observe and return to your breath. In that space between stimulus and response, you remember, I am not my thoughts. I am the one watching them. Plato believed that the first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself. That victory begins in your head. Every time you catch yourself spiraling, you have a choice. Will you let your mind drag you, or will you direct it? Peace is not a passive state. It is an active decision. Neuroscience confirms that your brain is not fixed. It rewires itself based on your focus. If you spend your morning reacting, comparing, and complaining, your brain becomes better at producing stress. If you spend it anchoring, breathing, and observing, your brain becomes better at cultivating calm. You literally train yourself for peace. As Aristotle said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. You will have days when your mind runs the show. That is human. Do not judge it. Simply return. The goal is not to be perfect, but to be aware. The real growth is in noticing sooner when you have slipped and returning faster to your center. So tomorrow morning, before the world reaches for your attention, sit with yourself. Inhale calm, exhale chaos, and speak it, either aloud or in your heart. I control my mind. Let that be your compass. The world will always be loud, but you, when you choose to be, can be louder. 4. Kindness is my superpower. There is a magnetic quality to people who walk into a room and bring a sense of calm with them. They don't need to speak loudly or dominate the space. Their very presence feels anchored. You feel safe around them, as if their energy has nothing to prove. And you can't help but wonder, how do they do that? The answer is not found in fame or money or some elaborate self-help routine. It is something far simpler and infinitely more powerful. It is kindness, genuine kindness. The kind that isn't for show, the kind that is rooted in inner strength, not in weakness. Have you ever met someone whose energy just feels peaceful? That's not an accident. It's intentional. It starts with a daily decision. Kindness is my superpower. Not in a soft, fleeting, Instagram quote kind of way, but in a grounded, practical, stoic sense. Because being kind does not mean being passive. It doesn't mean you let people walk all over you, or that you avoid difficult truths. In fact, it is the opposite. True kindness demands self-control. It requires discipline. Marcus Aurelius once said, Kindness is invincible if it's sincere, not fawning or pretending. What can even the most malicious person do if you keep treating them with kindness and remain firm? That is the balance. Gentle, but not fragile. Soft-spoken, but not silent. In our modern world, we often mistake harshness for strength, as if being cold or detached is proof of control. But here is what Stoicism teaches us. The strongest person isn't the one who controls others, but the one who controls themselves. Kindness is a form of self-mastery. It means you've developed enough awareness to pause before reacting, enough humility to listen before judging, and enough courage to extend grace, even when it isn't deserved. Carl Jung said, "Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people." There's a profound truth in that, isn't there? We all have an inner storm, insecurities, pain, fear, and when we see it in others, we often forget they are fighting their own version of our battles. Kindness bridges that gap. It isn't about being overly positive or pretending everything is fine. It's about choosing to see the humanity in people, even when it's buried under layers of defensiveness or anger. Start your day with that mindset, and you will feel the shift. You'll speak more softly, not because you're weak, but because you no longer need to shout to be heard. You'll react more slowly, not because you're indifferent, but because you value peace more than being right. You will lead with patience, not because you don't care, but because you understand that transformation, both yours and everyone else's, takes time. Socrates once said, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle." He wasn't being poetic. He was being honest. Most of the pain people project has nothing to do with you. It's a reflection of their own wounds, their own unresolved stories. When you operate from that awareness, you don't take things so personally. You begin to see beyond the surface. That rude comment? It's often fear in disguise. That passive aggression? A mask for insecurity. That silence? It is, more often than not, simply pain. Kindness doesn't mean excusing bad behavior, but it does mean responding with clarity instead of ego. And here is where it becomes even more practical. Visualize one kind thing you will do today. Seriously, choose something right now. Perhaps it's complimenting someone who seems down. Maybe it's pausing to truly listen when someone speaks. Perhaps it's texting a friend just to say you're thinking of them. No matter how small the act, it accumulates. That one gesture might be the only good thing someone experiences today. And the remarkable part is, it will probably do more for you than it does for them, because every kind action reinforces your identity as someone who leads with intention, not impulse. Plato believed that excellence is not an act, but a habit. So is kindness. It's not about waiting until you're in a perfect mood or until someone deserves it. It's about consciously choosing the person you want to be, making it a practice, and repeating it until it becomes your nature. And when it becomes your nature, your presence shifts. You no longer enter rooms trying to get something. You show up to offer something. That is a different, deeper kind of power. Yes, people might misunderstand you. They might mistake your patience for passivity or your calm for disinterest. But here is the key. You are not doing it for them. You are doing it because it aligns with your values. You are doing it because it reflects the person you are building. The truth is, nothing builds long-term influence like consistent kindness. Not charm, not intellect, not hustle. Kindness. The Stoics weren't soft. They were warriors of the mind. They faced hardship, betrayal, and loss, and still believed in leading with virtue. To them, kindness wasn't an accessory. It was the core, the very foundation of a life well lived. And when you understand that, you stop looking for applause. You stop trying to prove your worth. You just live it, quietly, consistently, completely. So tomorrow morning, before you are swept into the day, pause, center yourself, and remind your mind, kindness is my superpower. Not because you need people to like you, but because it is who you choose to be. Then go out and live like someone who is not afraid to be good. Not a fragile good, but a strong, resilient good. That is what leaves a mark. That is what rewrites the energy of a room. And more often than not, that is what changes people, starting with you. The foundation for this kind of strength, this unshakable kindness, is found in a single, powerful practice: learning to inhabit the present moment. Have you ever blinked and realized an entire week just flew by? Not in a poetic, life is beautiful way, but in a slightly disorienting, where did the time go kind of way. One moment you're sipping your morning coffee, and the next, you're buried under an avalanche of notifications, meetings, and responsibilities you barely remember agreeing to. It feels like the day ran away without your permission, leaving you trying to catch up. For most of us, this is modern life, fast, loud, and demanding. But there is a truth that cuts through all that noise like a blade. Everything is temporary. This truth isn't meant to scare you, it's meant to awaken you. The stress? Temporary. The pressure? Temporary. Even the joy, the peace, the good things, they too are passing, and that is precisely what makes them precious. The Stoics understood this profoundly. They practiced what is called memento mori, a daily reminder of mortality. Not to be morbid or depressing, but to be aware. Because when you realize that nothing is guaranteed, not tomorrow, not even the next hour, you begin to treat the present moment with the respect it deserves. Plato once said, "Time is the moving image of eternity." That idea lands differently when you consider how little of it we actually use well. So much of our time is spent either regretting the past or worrying about the future. We rarely just are. But presence is a skill, a discipline you must train, just like your body or your mind. Carl Jung believed that the ability to be in the present moment is a major component of mental wellness. And it makes sense, doesn't it? Most of our anxiety lives in the future. Most of our sorrow lives in the past. But the present? That is where your feet are planted. That is where your breath resides. That is where your power exists. Yet we are so distracted. We miss it. We miss the sunlight streaming through a window, the taste of our breakfast, the way the air feels just before a rainstorm. These small moments, so often overlooked, are everything. So here is your reminder. Say it to yourself like you mean it. This moment is all I have, so I will be present for it. Not tomorrow, not later. Now, this cup of coffee. This quiet space before the world wakes up. This conversation with a friend where, for once, no one is checking their phone. Life isn't waiting to start. It is happening right now. And if you are not fully in it, you are not just missing time. You are missing your life. Aristotle spoke of eudaimonia, the idea of flourishing, of living a good and meaningful life. He didn't tie it to some distant goal or external success. He tied it to virtue in action, how you live each moment, how you show up with integrity, awareness, and intention. Enjoying the present doesn't mean ignoring your responsibilities. It means learning to fully experience whatever moment you're in, even the difficult ones. Let's be honest, though. Presence is hard. It is far easier to distract yourself, to stay busy, to always be thinking about what's next. Because sitting still with yourself, that is where the real work begins. The Stoics called this inner stillness ataraxia, a serene calm that remains unshaken by the outside world. And one of the fastest ways to access that calm is to slow down and simply notice the moment you are in. Whether it's brushing your teeth or watching the wind move through the trees, allow yourself to just be there. This isn't about pretending life isn't stressful. It absolutely is. The world will continue to move fast. People will continue to pull at your time and energy. But when you practice presence, you stop giving your power away. You stop being ruled by urgency and instead, you choose clarity. As Seneca wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." That's it. Not just surviving, but enjoying. And enjoyment doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. It can be found in stillness, in quiet appreciation, in the pause between things. So tomorrow, or even right now as you listen to this, pause. Take one deep breath. Feel it move through your chest. Notice where your feet are. Notice what you hear, smell, and feel. Be where you are, not where you think you need to be. Presence is power because it brings you back to yourself, not the version of you that is performing, planning, or regretting. Just you, right here. Socrates, the master of questioning everything, once asked, "How can you wonder your travels do you no good when you carry yourself around with you?" The truth is, it doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing. If you cannot be present, nothing will satisfy you. Not success, not status, not escape. That is why presence isn't optional. It is essential. Do you want more fulfillment, more connection, more peace? It doesn't come from doing more. It comes from noticing more. It comes from choosing to enjoy the small things while they are happening, instead of missing them and wishing you had paid attention. This moment, this very one, is already slipping away. Not in a dramatic way, just quietly, as it always does. So hold it a little longer. Appreciate it a little more deeply. And remind yourself, often, everything is temporary, so I will enjoy this moment. That mindset doesn't just slow down time. It stretches it, making it richer and more meaningful. And over time, you begin to realize this moment was never small. It was everything. You just needed to notice. So as you move through today, whatever it holds, carry this truth with you. Peace isn't found in the next moment. It's found in this one, right here, right now. If this spoke to something in you, there's another video waiting for you on screen that dives even deeper into building a life rooted in stillness, clarity, and inner strength. I think you'll find it powerful. Thank you for being here and for being a part of Stoic Journal.